All right, squaddies, pull up your chairs, grab your snacks and settle in, because today's episode is a masterclass in how the UK media will turn absolutely nothing into a royal romance saga. This is your favourite spot for slow-motion truth analysis, delusion detox, and exposing the dramatic fictional universe that the British tabloids insist on living in. If you came here for peace and stability, I have to warn you, you are absolutely in the wrong place, because the media has given us another round of their Olympic-level imagination games, and honestly, I'm grateful. The comedy writes itself. Today, the internet didn't just hand us a story. It delivered a full 7-course comedy feast, complete with appetizers, main course, dessert, and a sparkling beverage. And speaking of beverages, the entire scandal we're discussing today revolves around one single, simple, innocent action. A sip. Yes, a sip. Not a touch, not a whisper, not a lingering gaze, but a sip. Hydration has apparently become the new royal foreplay, and I promise you, no writer, not even Shakespeare, not even Jane Austen, not even whoever wrote Twilight, could make this any funnier. So, settle in, squaddies. We're about to break down how the press tried to transform a man drinking from a cup into the greatest romantic gesture since Romeo climbed that balcony. And let me tell you right now, these people are deeply, profoundly, spiritually unwell. Let's set the scene like we're narrating a documentary. The royal variety performance. Glamorous red carpet, tuxedos, gowns, cameras everywhere, fans screaming for pictures, and paparazzi ready to pounce like hyenas in bow ties. A car pulls up, the door is moments away from opening, and inside sits William and Kate, perfectly posed, perfectly silent, perfectly stiff, as if they rehearsed co-worker energy in front of a mirror beforehand. Now, out of absolutely nowhere, William lifts a cup and takes a sip. That's it. That's the entire timeline. He lifts, he sips, he swallows, he lowers the cup. Not even a dramatic swallow. Just hydration. And yet, for the UK press, this tiny moment, this microscopic, clinically boring, scientifically unromantic action somehow became a rare romantic moment. An intimate gesture caught on camera. A sweet sign of affection before the spotlight. I'm sorry. If drinking from a cup now qualifies as affection, then my morning coffee deserves a Valentine's Day card. I should be sending my water bottle flirty emojis. The standards are no longer low. The standards have tunnelled through the crust of the earth and landed somewhere near the planet's core. Here's where the second-hand embarrassment begins, because instead of watching the full video, the tabloids saw one blurry, shadowy movement inside the car and immediately sprinted to their keyboards like, "He kissed her hand! He did it! He kissed her hand! A royal love story has been born." Meanwhile, in the real world, with actual eyes and functioning neurons, there was no hand in sight. There was no kiss. There was no leaning in. There was no gesture whatsoever. Both of his hands were on a cup. But the media desperately needed something, anything, to prove that William and Kate have the kind of chemistry that normal couples naturally show without effort. So they just declared, "Sweet moment! Fans swoon, romance fills the car." Swoon over what exactly? The sip? The angle of his wrist? The lid of the cup? Please. The bar is not just low. The bar is lying face down in a ditch asking for help. Now this is where the internet becomes a thing of beauty, because people do not just re-watch the clip. No, squaddies went full detective mode, full forensic investigation, full science class, zoom in, slow motion, frame-by-frame breakdown, side-by-side comparisons, shadow analysis, reflection analysis, audio that didn't even need analysing. People studied this footage like they were trying to solve a murder mystery, and the conclusion was unanimous. No kiss, no hand grab, no tender gesture, no awe moment, no chemistry whatsoever. Just one man drinking like a dehydrated tourist. But the Daily Mail was still out here insisting a heartwarming display of affection. Heartwarming. Where? Whose heart? What organ warmed up? Is the Daily Mail romantically attracted to beverages? Because that's the only explanation at this point. Now we arrive at my favourite chapter, the comments section. The public took one look at those headlines and said, absolutely not. The dragging was swift, brutal, and poetic. People wrote things like, "Derangers want them to be in love so badly, it's becoming sad." They wish they had Harry and Meghan's natural energy. "They're hallucinating PDA now? Blink twice if you need help." And honestly, they're right. Because real affection doesn't need to be invented. Real affection looks like Harry fixing Meghan's collar, Meghan grabbing Harry's hand, Harry smiling at Meghan like she's literally the sun. Two people moving in perfect sync without trying. But with William and Kate, what we see is corporate stiffness, awkward spacing, the energy of two people assigned to work together on a group presentation. Seasoned professionals in the field of "we're here because it's required." So the press has no choice but to manufacture romance from particles of dust. Once the full clip dropped, the unedited, crystal-clear, high-quality footage, the entire delusion came crashing down. Suddenly, no tabloids corrected their stories, no retractions were issued, no editors said, "Oops, our bad." And you know why. Because admitting they confused a sip with a kiss would make them look ridiculous, even by their usual standards. They simply pretended the fan fiction never happened and hoped nobody would notice. But the internet definitely noticed. Comments like, "This marriage is so dry, the media is romanticizing beverages." "You're embarrassing yourselves." At this point, even the cup deserves media coverage. And honestly, accurate. Let's talk truth. Let's talk motive. Let's talk about why the media is working overtime to sell a romance that clearly isn't there. The simple truth is that William and Kate's public interactions often resemble a corporate partnership, a PR arrangement, a polite roommate situation, two people doing a shift together. So the press has to inflate crumbs into cake. They have to turn a glance into passion. Standing side by side into chemistry. Sharing a car into intimacy. A sip into a rare, precious romantic gesture. Meanwhile, when Harry and Meghan simply breathe in the same direction, the love is obvious. The press can't manufacture that, so they cling to the smallest scraps of nothingness and call it magic. Let's wrap it up with the truth that survives all delusion. No kiss, no gesture, no romance, no warmth, no chemistry, just hydration and an entire media hallucination built around it. This was not PDA. This was not love. This was not a tender moment. This was a man taking a sip of a drink before a car door opened. And somehow the UK media transformed it into Shakespeare, into poetry, into fantasy fan fiction. They turned water into romance. They turned sipping into seduction. They turned hydration into hysteria. And that, squaddies, is why we are here, to burst the bubbles, expose the theatrics, and remind everyone that you cannot force chemistry, you cannot fake affection forever, and you definitely cannot transform a sip into a kiss. The delusion is powerful, but so are we. And that concludes today's episode of the Delusion Detox Center. Thank you to all my squaddies for being here, laughing with me, and keeping your critical thinking skills hydrated. If you're new, welcome. If you've been here, I appreciate you more than the tabloids appreciate imaginary romance. Stay hydrated, but not too hydrated. We don't want the Daily Mail turning your next glass of water into a love story. Until next time, squaddies.